Hello students, this is Mrs. Crumpton. I want to first off thank Mrs. Smith for being your facilitator while I am out. And today's lesson is Translations of Linear Functions. This is a handout, LTF Unit 2, Lesson 6. And your learning target is kind of long for this, so make sure you get your learning target in your notes. I can graph linear equations, translate graphs of linear functions, factor a common integer factor from a simple expression, and finally identify a point and slope from an equation in point-slope form. Now I'll read that to you one more time while you're writing it down. Learning target, I can graph linear equations, translate graphs of linear functions, factor a common integer factor from a simple expression, and finally, identify a point and slope from an equation in point-slope form. Okay, students, let's look at the first problem that you have. You are asked to graph y equals 2x. Well, there's a few different ways that we can do that. Let's look at, it says to plot at least 5 points on the line. Okay, let me go to the next page here. Okay, the problem said graph y equals 2x. So if we do a function table here, and we have x here, and then y equals 2x, and then we have y. So let's pick some values for x. And remember a while ago when we did a table and I told you pick your values like you pick your nose. You want to keep something small and you want to get something close to 0. So pick those values small, just like you want something to come out of your nose that's small. So let's start with, let's say -2. And then you're going to replace x with -2. And you find out that y, when x is -2, y equals -4. You could even add a column here for your ordered pairs, which will make things a little easier for you. It's not necessary to add that extra column, but sometimes I like to do that. So my ordered pair to graph this line is going to be 2, -4. Okay, now let's pick another value. I always like to pick 0. So I'm going to pick 0. I'm going to replace x with 0. That's an easy one to work out. When x is 0, y is 0. So your ordered pair here would be 0, 0. Now that's a hint that your line is going to pass through the origin. And that line is actually called direct variation. And we'll learn about that as we go. But for right now, just recognize that when you're graphing a line and you have the ordered pair 0, 0, that line is going to pass through the origin. Okay, now I'm going to choose 2 for my third. It says to plot at least 5 points on the line. I'm just going to plot 3 for now. Y equals 2 times 2, and that is 4. So my ordered pair here is 2, 4. Now you can choose 2 more points. You might want to squeeze in -1 and 1, and double check your ordered pairs for that. And I'll let you do that real quick while I pause the video. Okay, hopefully you got those points finished, and here should be what your table looks like. Okay, students, let's plot those points. The first point that we found was -2, 4. Of course, you start at the origin, move 2 to the left, and down 4. And then you plot that point. Okay, next was our 0, 0, which was at the origin, which is here, 0, 0. Then we have 2, 4, which from the origin I move 2 right and up 4. Plot that point. Then I ask you to plot the other 2 points, and we used -1, -2. So from the origin, move 1 to the left, down 2. And we also plotted the point 1, 2. So from the origin, I move 1 to the right and up 2. Okay, now students, since we have our points plotted, we are going to connect those points with a straight line. I hope my line turns out straight. It's not always the easiest thing to do with one of these not cursors. Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about, these little things I write with. A stylus just hit me. Okay, so hopefully yours is a little neater than mine. And that takes care of part A of question 1, which said graph y equals 2x, plot at least 5 points on the line. Now let's review what we did to plot that. We set up a table. We chose our values for x. Remember, you pick your values like you pick your nose. Keep them small and close to 0. You don't schedule an appointment. You pick them at random. Okay? Part B says to translate the graph 4 units to the right by moving each point 4 units to the right. Okay, let me get a different color to do that. Let's go with red. We're getting close to Christmas, so we'll make it look red-green. Okay, so I'm moving 4 units to the right. So starting with the point 2, 4, I want to move 4 units to the right. That will be one, 2, 3, 4, and then I will plot that point with red. Okay, I've translated the point 2, 4 to the right 4 units. All right, let's do that again. Let's translate the point 1, 2, 4 units to the right. Here would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's plot that point in red. Okay, how are y'all doing? You probably already have all these done, don't you? Okay, the next one we're going to translate 0, 0, 4 units to the right. So we should end up 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put my point here. Then we've got to translate the point -1, -2, 4 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plot that point. And finally, the last point that we did, -2, -4. We want to translate that 4 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, we want to graph our line. Connect those points. I hope yours is so much straighter than mine. That one was not too bad. Okay, now part B, we've done. It says to translate the graph 4 units to the right by moving each point 4 units to the right. So the green is our original. Let's write that down here so we don't forget. Green is the original. And our red is our translation. Now, if you've got colored pencils, that will make this much, much easier for you to get these translations done. Part C says, write the equation of the translated line in slope-intercept form. Okay, slope-intercept form is the form y equals mx plus b. For now and forevermore, you need to know that. Slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b. Now we've already talked about slope, and we've already talked about how to calculate slope. B is representative of the y-intercept. Ooh, I'm not doing such a good job writing the word intercept, so let me try that again. I-N-T-E-R-C-E-P-T. Now, I want you to think about intercept like you would interception. Now, I watched the Georgia-Auburn game tonight, and there was one play there in the fourth quarter, I think, where Georgia intercepted the pass that Auburn quarterback threw. Well, that Georgia player got in the line between the Auburn player and the Auburn quarterback. So the point of interception was at the Georgia player. Okay, so relating that back to a line, where is the interception of this line? Where does our red line cross the y-axis? Take a look. I've drawn it down just a little bit. And my line may be off ever so slightly, but that should be crossing. We should be crossing on -8. So mine is not perfectly straight, but our y-intercept should be on -8. Okay? So if B is -8, all we need to do is find the slope of this line. Now you can use the slope formula by choosing any 2 points on the line and doing our delta y over delta x formula that we talked about a few lessons ago. Another way that you can find the slope of this line is using rise over run between any 2 points. Okay, I'm going to come up here to the positive first quadrant, and I'm going to use rise over run. went just a tad bit over. Rise is going to be from this point here, this point right here, and we're trying to get to this point here. So what I've done is I've created a triangle between those points, and my rise is how far I go up before I have to turn and run to the point above. Okay, so my rise here, I go up 2 and to the right 1. So my slope, M, changing Y over changing X, using rise over run, is 2 over 1. Now this is one time we'll reduce that to just 2. Okay, again, part C of this is asking us to write the equation of the translated line in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form being y equals mx plus b. We have now figured out our slope is 2. So I'm going to write that in. Y equals 2 times x, and our slope-intercept, our y-intercept, is a -8. Now I can clean that up just ever so slightly so that I don't have both of these operator symbols in here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that up and write it in as y equals 2x minus 8. Okay? That is our equation for our translated line. Remember, the equation for this line was y equals 2x. Okay? If you have any questions about this, please be sure you write down your questions right now until I can get back to class with you. The best way for you to communicate with me if you don't understand a lesson is to send me a message on our Facebook homework page. And if you aren't on that Facebook homework page, but your partner or someone in your group is, please ask that person to send your question for you, and I will answer that as quickly as I can. Okay, take a good look at this again. We now have our equation of the translated line in slope-intercept form. And it says in part D, find out the common factor in the translated equation. Okay, looking at these two equations and trying to answer what is the common factor or factor out the common factor in the translated equation. Okay, look at both terms here. The 2x and the 8. Is there a common factor between these? GCF of 2 and 8. Think on that for a second. Somebody is shouting it out. I know, even though I can't hear you, I know somebody is shouting out 2, 2, 2, 2, and that is correct. So if I factor that out, that means I'm going to put it outside parentheses, and it's kind of like I'm undistributing. We've talked about the distributive property. If I undistribute 2 to 2x, that's going to leave me with an x. And if I undistribute 2 to 8, that's going to leave me with, not that. If I undistribute, that is going to leave me with a 4. So guess what? You have now factored out the common factor in the translated equation, which is part D of problem 1. Yes, I know it is a loaded question. take a look at that. If you have any questions, write those down and make sure you send me a message. Part E of number 1 of Translations of Linear Functions says, what are the coordinates of the point to which the point 0, 0 translated? Okay, so let's go back a few slides. Hold on just a second here. Okay, so it's asking again, what are the coordinates of the point to which the point 0, 0 is translated? All right, so take a look at the point 0, 0, which is here. And where did that point translate to? Translated here. So what is the coordinates of this point? Remember, x comes before y. So how many did we move to the right to get to that point? 4. Did I move up or down any? I did not. Okay, so that translated point is 4, 0. But let's look at how to write that a little differently to let your readers know, the readers of your paper know and understand how that translated. Okay, so we've got the point 0, 0. And you're asked to find what point that translated to. And of course, we've already discussed that that translated to 4, 0. And that's how you write it. Okay. Kind of hard to see my parenthesis right there. Think on that just a minute. That was a pretty easy question to answer. Part F asks, where does the amount of translation appear in factored form from the equation from Part D? Okay, let's look at Part D again. Okay, now our our factored form of the equation was y equals 2 times the quantity x minus 4. Our question at hand is, where does the amount of the translation appear in the factored form of the equation for Part D? All it's asking there is what is the part of this equation here that tells us the amount of the translation? Okay, that part is actually inside the parentheses. So right here would be the amount of your translation. So the answer to Part F is the amount of the translation appears inside parentheses. I'm going to abbreviate because I don't have much room. You spell out parentheses on your paper. And after the subtraction sign. Okay, remember at the beginning it says, translate the graph 4 units to the right. Okay, so that translation is right there inside parentheses. Okay, I know this is a long video. I know it's been a long lesson, but hopefully you should be able to complete the next few problems, okay? Now, I don't expect you to have these all done by the next class day, but you should be able to have at least number 2 completed by the next class day. And you can discuss with your classmates, and Miss Smith, your facilitator, will have your answers for you. Okay, then after that, I want you working together in class for the remainder of time. After you've had time to try number 2, I want you working together to see if you can figure out problems 3, 4, and 5 of the translations of linear equations. Again, I will be available to you on the Facebook homework page. Please let me know what else you need a lesson on, and I will prepare that for you. Thank you so much, and you have a great rest of the day. Sorry, kids. I told you 3, 4, and 5. You also have to do 6 through, let's see here, 6 through 16 as well. But now I will do another video. You let me know on our Facebook homework page what you need some help with, and I will gladly do a video to help you. Thanks so much.